We are live. Welcome everybody to this episode of Two Sweet Converse, brought to you by Two Sweet Cosplay. This is episode 20. I am Nico.
Greetings all, Steve-O here.
Hola, Wildcard.
Hello everybody, EJV here.
Alright, so let's get things into high gear. Last Saturday was AEW All Out, and what a show it was. Went out a little over 4 hours, actually. So we're going to give our thoughts on the show. We're going to, condense it down a bit, but, be short and sweet with it, and just give you our thoughts and review on the AEW All Out 2020 show. So, guys, what I'd like for us all to do is pick two matches that you like, two matches that you didn't like, and then just kind of give a general consensus of what you thought of the show from a 1 to 10 rating scale. Who would like to start this one off? EJB, take it away.
All right. One of my main matches that I was excited for was the Casino Battle Royal. That was personally one of my favorites because of I love that whole Battle Royal chaos thing that goes on. I thought it was an overall good match. Could have been, to me, it could have been a little better, but, I preferred it over maybe a couple of the other matches. Lance Archer going over definitely was the right move. Congrats to Lance on that. And next week he moves on to face Mox for the title, which we'll talk about later on. But yeah, that's personally my first match. The second match I liked was, I have to say, was the Mimosa Mayhem between Jericho and Orange Cassidy. Jericho did the whole point of that match and the battles between Jericho and Orange Cassidy was to build him up, and that's exactly what happened. Orange looked strong throughout that match. He did a really good job against the Les Champions again. And it was a pretty cool concept at first. I thought it was really goofy. Thought it was gonna be stupid, but they pulled it off somehow as usual. Jericho's a genius, and the match overall I thought was really good. A little campy at times, but then again, when it comes from Jericho, who knows? But now the matches I didn't like. The Tooth and Nail match I thought could have been better. I just felt like there were certain parts that were just a little bit campy, a little bit just over the top, and there could have been. I mean, I wish there could have been more wrestling involved, but it's a cinematic match, so what can you do? The other match I was not too fond of was it's a tough one because all of them were great, but I have to go with I was a little bit disappointed in the I thought like the 8-man tag. The 8-man tag was good, but I thought it was a little bit of a mess. That's just my opinion. Because it was just, I understand it was fast paced. It seemed like they didn't have a lot of time, even though they did. But they were just moving so quickly for this 8-man tag. I figured to give them a little bit more time to work. And that's just my opinion on that. But overall, a strong show for, not really strong. I'm not going to say that, but overall a good show from AEW once again, as they are known to do.
Very nice. Who'd like to take this one next?
I'll take it.
Let's hear it.
Okay. So two things that I liked about AEW All Out. First one, I actually was pretty entertained by the Shida Thunder Rosa match. I thought that was a very solid women's match. It basically showed the talent that Thunder Rosa had, and also what Hikaru Shida can do as women's champion. I thought it was a little bit longish, but for the most part, for the women's title match, I thought it was it was a nice solid match, and it didn't surprise me that that they were going to put on a good match with that. So props to Shida for retaining the AEW women's title, but Thunder Rosa is here to stay, and I can't wait to see what she's got going on later on in the future for AEW. The other thing I liked also, got to echo my colleague EJV on this, but the Orange Cassidy Jericho match. I thought that the Mimosa match was, well, it was quite entertaining to say the least. I mean, it was just a fun match overall, but also very back and forth too. I thought that was really exciting to, see like a lot of, who's going to go into this vat of mimosa, and it just, to me, it honestly just looked like a big bucket full of Tang to me. I mean, I don't know what you guys thought about that, but I'm just like wondering to myself when I was watching the match, I was like, is that really mimosa, or did they just put water and orange food coloring in there? So, I mean, knowing Jericho, he probably spent the money on actual mimosa in there. So, but the ending was just, I guess you could say it's very meme worthy, if you probably have seen, through social media there. But, I thought that was a great match, but kudos to Orange Cassidy, though. I think the match itself really spiked his value up even more. So I can't wait to see what he has in store later on for AEW as well. Now on to the drawbacks of the overall pay-per-view. I was a little bit, I was kind of disappointed with the tag team title match, actually. I mean, it was a good match overall, but I just felt like it dragged for a little bit. I just thought that we all knew, at least amongst all of four of us, that FTR was most likely going to win the AEW tag team titles, especially with this ongoing feud or storyline with the Elite. So, I mean, we all kind of saw this coming here. So for some reason, I just didn't really dig that match because it just dragged too long. I just felt like, it didn't set well with me, maybe because we just kind of knew ahead of time who was going to win the match. But I am very intrigued to see how this potential storyline continues on later on as well. I guess the other thing I really didn't like about it also was the whole tooth and nail match. I mean, it was entertaining to watch, but I mean, I wasn't really wowed by it. And the fact that it was on the buy-in, that was kind of disappointing because, as mentioned before in the previous episode, I thought that, it was actually worthy of being on the main card. So, I mean, just because of the storyline between Britt Baker and Big Swole. So, I thought that was kind of disappointing. I thought they could have done more. But
minor correction, it was on the main card, but it was the first match.
Yeah, okay. Well, my mistake there. So anyway, but either way, I felt like I could have done a little bit more with that. So I mean, I for the way they were advertising it, could have been a little bit more. So, but to be honest, All Out wasn't really something I was wowed by. I mean, it was a solid pay-per-view, but would I actually go out of my way to watch it again? Maybe not. So, I mean, I would actually go out of my way to watch even last year's All Out. That's a pay-per-view worth watching. All In, obviously. But this one, not so much. I'm just saying.
All right, Nico, do you want to go or do you want me to go first and then you? All right. I'll go with my quick picks on All Out. So, first off, I actually enjoyed the tag team match. It was a bit lengthy, but I thought it was a great back and forth between FTR, Omega, and Hangman Page. I thought the spots were great. I obviously the result was going to be FTR. I think we all knew that, as a wildcard mentioned, but I don't care. I liked it. I think it's great. I am looking forward to the future of them as the tag team champions, and more importantly, I'm also looking forward to the future of the Elite. We'll be talking a little bit more about that with the Dynamite recap coming up later on the show. I will also echo that I did enjoy the women's championship match, arguably one of the best AEW women's matches to date. Thunder Rosa and Shida put on a great back and forth, and yes, I am happy to see that Thunder Rosa will be continuing on in AEW. Again, we'll be talking about that a little later in the show, but yeah, those two matches were my personal favorites of the show, and I thought they really stood out very well. So, some drawbacks on my end, I will say Matt Hardy and Sammy Guevara. Yeah, that was unfortunately with the whole concussion Matt did sustain. I'm glad to see he is doing a little better, but yeah, that was very scary, very worrying. Side note to Matt Sydal also for botching that shooting star press. That was very worrisome, but no, I wasn't happy with them continuing that whole match, the broken match, if you will. And then, yeah, that whole the women's match between Big Swole and Britt Baker, the cinematic match. I appreciate that they did move it to the main card, but you wouldn't have even noticed because of how short the match was, and just was a bit more of an afterthought for a feud that was pretty strong going in. So overall review, I'd give it a 6 out of 10 personally. I would say it's one of the weaker AEW shows. I wouldn't consider it a bad show per se, but I would say it was a bit of a letdown, especially compared to previous AEW shows. And I'll dare say that WWE SummerSlam was a better show. Payback it's about on par, maybe slightly better. And I think that the 4.5 hours was a little bit too much personally in terms of time. But still, decent show. I would, if you have a chance, check it out for a couple of the matches. All right, Nico, what's your thoughts for AEW All Out 2020?
Okay, are you guys done kissing their asses yet? You guys done? That was absolutely the worst show All Elite Wrestling has produced since its inception. It ran too long. It was 5.5 hours if you count the pre-show. It ran too damn long. They hit the panic button, rightfully so, when Matt Hardy got his bell rung. I won't say he got a concussion because AEW keeps on denying it. Ref Aubrey threw up the X. So if that's not the sign of, oh, the lights are on, but no one's home for this guy, if that's not the sign of a concussion, I don't know what is. I mean, I've dealt with head injuries. I've had concussions. I know you've had concussions due to your backyard days. They are not fun. And Matt Hardy is a legend. But goddamn, as soon as that happened, they needed to call an audible. They could have easily done something where Sammy Guevara kicks him directly in the nuts. Matt stays down the full 10 seconds. I know in storyline it was if Matt loses, he's gone from AEW. They could have walked that back at any freaking time, just like they do with every other wrestling storyline in the industry. That was just bad. It was a bad booking decision. I don't know in what universe you can do a standard concussion testing in 2.5, 3 minutes. When every wrestling legend says, hey, you need at least about a good 15 to 20 to determine if someone has a concussion and can continue or not. The announcers were thinking, okay, this match is over, we're going to move on. Even they were kind of caught off guard. I didn't like that idea at all. I felt like they weren't communicating. Britt Baker versus Big Swole was a match everyone was cramming for to be on the main card that we wanted to see. For them to just make it the curtain jerk match, I thought it was kind of a slap in the face. And then the match itself, cinematic or not, it did not deliver at all, which was disappointing. I like how they kind of introduced Britt Baker as like a psycho dentist, but that fell flat completely. A lot of sloppiness on both girls' parts. The only highlights I will say out of this is the performance that Hangman Page put on in the tag match. I don't know what was going on with Kenny. I guess maybe he was... I felt like Kenny missed some spots. If you watch it back, I don't know if he was intended to for the storyline, but there were certain moments where Kenny Omega was missing his spot. And then Moxley versus MJF. But the crowd was completely dead by then because it had been like 5.5 hours. Great match, especially the last 90 seconds because they gave MJF an out where the heel fluffs up the ending and it backfires on him. But we kind of knew that Moxley was going to win because of who won the Battle Royal, which was Lance Archer. Rightfully so, but still it was kind of sad because that Lance Archer winning kind of gave away the ending to Moxley and MJF. I said the pay-per-view was going to be a 4 out of 10. I was right because that's still what I would rate it. It's disappointing because I was really looking forward to it. But there were times during the show where I was like, God, I really wish I could get my money back right now. And it sucks because I love AEW, I love all the pro wrestling, but the show was just bad. It really was. I don't know if you want to say time length of the show or what, but it was just bad.
Various fair assessments all around, guys. Yeah. I think we can all agree maybe it wasn't one of AEW's stronger shows. There might have been some positives, but it is what it is. Yeah.
Let's just agree that out of all, and I'm including All In part of that group there, but out of the three, this one was probably the worst.
That is a fair assessment. So right now we're going to kind of continue the AEW discussion, but moving on to AEW Dynamite. Pretty noteworthy show after all the happenings of AEW All Out. We witnessed the debut of the former Rusev, aka Miro, on the show. We saw a little more development with what's going on with the Elite as a whole. And we saw a pretty solid back and forth match between Brody Lee and Dustin Rhodes for the TNT Championship. So, what are your guys' thoughts on this past week's Dynamite, and who would like to start this off? EJB, go for it.
Sure. I thought overall it was a really good show. They really had some great matches. The debut of Miro was a nice surprise. That was pretty cool to see him out there and everybody chanting Miro Day. Took a shot at WWE with the brass ring comment saying they could shove it up their ass. But it's pretty cool to see him finally on a show where I think he can really showcase what he is and not sit in catering for 6 weeks and not have a damn thing to do. But I think he could really make a difference in AEW overall because he's a big guy, athletic, and he can really showcase what he's got. It was pretty cool just overall. And of course, the TNT title match with Dustin and Brody, it was another good match. Dustin once again proving why he is the ageless wonder as he is. Man's been in the business longer than both of us have been alive, and he still can go like nobody else's business. The guy is still unreal, and Brody proved why he's so dominant. And just that was a really good match. The debut of Ty Conti to AEW as well, even though she did get destroyed by Nyla Rose. I was happy to see her there because she had worked hard for that. It was cool. And then, of course, the quick building between the Elite, about how Kenny now wants to go on a singles career, and Hangman still wants to do the tag team thing. But it's and of course the Young Bucks showing more of their heel side by super kicking the living hell out of Alex Marvez. Of course, fined $5,000, which of course is a drop in the bucket for the Bucks. But yeah, it's just it was a good show, and I can't wait to see where to go next with this. And of course, next week we're getting for the anniversary show. We got Lance Archer, Jon Moxley, AEW World Title next week. We got an NWA Women's Title match. Who would ever thought that was going to happen? That is insane. We're getting an NWA Women's Title match, Thunder Rosa, Evil East. That's going to be awesome. It's just I think the post Dynamite show it was a good show, and I can't wait to see what's going to happen with the build up to Full Gear, especially with the storylines that are already in place.
Very nice. Who'd like to take this one next? Nico, go for it.
Yeah, I thought Dynamite was pretty solid. I was very surprised that Miro, or formerly known as Rusev in WWE, was coming to AEW. And I thought right away, I was even like, whoa! I texted you guys immediately. I was like, whoa! I'm genuinely shocked and surprised by this. I thought maybe it was gonna be somebody from, maybe Pac somehow finding his way back into the States, or another wrestler from the UK. I originally thought when the person was walking, because when they did the entrance, we saw the person's back walking through the tunnel. I originally thought it was Luther because it was a ball-headed figure, and I thought it was maybe Luther going to be like, okay, whatever. But then for it to be Miro, I was just like, oh, wow, I'm genuinely shocked and surprised by this. But then immediately, of course, he has to take a shot at WWE. It's like, dude, why? Okay. But I'm happy for him. If he can work in AEW, there isn't really much I want to see him do in AEW. I'm more excited and intrigued by the matches he might be able to do in New Japan. According to his contract, he is allowed to work some dates in New Japan Pro Wrestling, as long as they don't conflict. Don't know how true that is, but I'm more interested to see what he can do in New Japan more than what he can do in AEW. Really enjoyed the match between Dustin and Brody Lee. I think it's the best match I've ever seen Brody Lee ever do. Dustin is in his mid-50s, and he's working like he's a true main event talent, which I thought was absolutely beautiful. But other than that, those were the only two highlights for me for AEW. Also, at the beginning of the show, Jericho and MJF had an interaction. Maybe that could be their next feuds. I would really love to see that. Oh my god, the promos for that would be amazing. Excited to see what the build is to Full Gear. But that's all I got to say about AEW Dynamite.
Very nice. Wild card. Your thoughts?
Okay. So I'm gonna go against the pine here and say that I was not that crazy about Miro appearing at AEW. A lot of people seem to be excited about it.
Hey, I wasn't either. Just to clarify.
Okay. Well, you're the exception then. So, but I'm just saying from what I've seen via social media, the fact that Miro appeared, the thing is, this kind of confirmed something that I'm kind of concerned with AEW, is that they're just going to constantly bring in old, washed out WWE superstars. I mean, I thought it was just a coincidence that they brought back like guys like, Brody Lee or, somebody even like Vicky Guerrero, who shouldn't even be putting on that list because she's already a legend already. But, but you guys get my point here. But seeing Miro appear in AEW, I wasn't too crazy about, because I feel like that it's having somebody like him go on Dynamite and taking spotlight away from a lot of other AEW talent. I mean, I don't know, that just doesn't settle well with me. So I was not really crazy about the move. Who knows? I could be wrong. Maybe this is one of those things where it actually turns out to be a genius move on his part, and he will succeed in AEW. So, congrats to him for, continuing at least his wrestling career, because, I mean, I'm sure a lot of us didn't really know where he was going to end up after his release. But, from a personal standpoint, I'm just not crazy about the move. But then again, I'm willing to give it a shot and see where he takes this, because, who knows? Maybe he'll find some success in AEW. The other thing I did like was, this continuing storyline between the Elite. It's very intriguing because, after hearing what Hangman and Kenny had to say in their respective interviews there, they're definitely going in polar opposite directions. I mean, Kenny said publicly he's going back to being a singles wrestler. I believe Hangman said, you guys can correct me if I'm inaccurate on this, but I believe he said he wanted to continue on with the tag team division. So, I mean, that's just like, okay, there's two different things saying by just going the opposite way. So, I mean, where does this go from here? Personally, I would love to see the cleaner make a return in the singles action there too. I think it's about time that Kenny steps up his game, because I think as a singles wrestler, he's definitely proven from a record standpoint that he deserves every bit of that AEW title, and hopefully one of these days we'll see that with him. But I just thought that the overall episode, was solid, but it wasn't something that I wasn't terribly wowed by, except for it was nice seeing the Bucks being the Bucks and just randomly super kicking fools out of nowhere. So I thought that was pretty hilarious. But other than that, it'll be interesting to see where this goes from here, especially going in the next pay-per-view.
Very nice. I'll get to my thoughts. So poor Alex Marvez getting a super kick right out of the blue randomly, just out knocking on the Young Bucks doors. But now they're gonna have to pay $5,000 each for super kicking that poor man. But that's life. Overall, I do enjoy the show.
$5,000 of them is spoiler.
Yeah. So, yeah, I did enjoy the show. I'm glad that Miro is in AEW. And I had a feeling at some point, I didn't know when, but I knew at some point he was going to be coming over to All Elite Wrestling. But, yeah, it was weird seeing his frosted blonde hair, getting an all-new look, new perspective here at AEW. Anyways, yeah, so it was interesting seeing him. I am getting a little bit tired of like all these former WWE guys constantly coming in and bashing their company. I think they gotta pick a point where they have to stop like having everybody do it. It was funny with Brody Lee doing it at first and all that, but at some point you kind of had to say stop. And even FTR did a knock. But anyways, yeah, at some point you got to stop having these WWE guys constantly come in and trash the company like that they were formerly from. I mean, I get that, maybe they could have been treated better there, but, it is looking bad. People are making comparisons to TNA and WCW with them doing this. And so, yeah, I kind of wish they would stop that. But I think that Miro will do fine in the end. I think that he is a nice addition to the roster. A little short rant on Eddie Kingston. I am a fan of him. I think that the stable he currently is kind of just randomly thrown together. I think they should have just picked either the Lucha Bros or the Butcher and Blade to be with them. I don't think both tag teams should be with them. And also interesting that the Jurassic Express is actually going to be getting a title shot against FTR, even though they lost in the pay-per-view against the Young Bucks. I'm like, can someone explain that logic to me for next week's episode? And then finally, some other things. Really liked Brody Lee versus Dustin Rhodes in the main event. I thought that was a great match. Dustin is, up there in age, but he could still work it like nobody's business. He's still an amazing wrestler. Brody Lee's always been a great wrestler, so they put on a hell of a clinic in the main event. I thought it was a great way to close the show. And yes, I am enjoying all of the Elite storyline. I think it's very interesting that, Kenny wants to go solo. Heyman wants to continue the team. And then, the Young Bucks are just being very heelish. But solid episode of Dynamite. I think I'm very excited to see where things go. And so now, to close out the show, we're actually going to be getting into the Cosplayer of the Week for episode number 20. This week's cosplayer is Kangchi, a.k.a. Koji of WWE Fake Stars. I'll start this one off and then pass it along. Kangchi, along with his awesome cosplays, artwork, and many of his colleagues of the WWE Fake Stars have been featured on Too Sweet Cosplay many times, and they were at the WrestleMania 34 Access Too Sweet Cosplay photo shoot. Who'd like to take this one next? EJB?
I got this one. Kangchi got into wrestling in 2011. His first event was a WWE live event in Yokohama, Japan in November of 2011.
I got it from here. Okay, so he started cosplaying at the age of 28. That was 18 years ago. So, just goes to show, you're never too old to cosplay.
His go-to cosplays are Daniel Bryan, Zack Ryder, Simon Gotch, The Miz, Dolph Ziggler, and the Hurricane.
Okay, there we go.
Favorite wrestlers are Daniel Bryan, Zack Ryder, a.k.a. Matt Cardona, and Simon Gotch.
There we go.
Now, on to some of his cosplays as displayed. right, and we are back. So that is it. That is it for this edition of Too Sweet Converse. Thank you all for watching. If you wish to be a cosplayer of the week, be sure to send us a message onto the Too Sweet Cosplay Facebook page, and maybe you could be a cosplayer of the week.
Oh yeah, send us your stuff.
I was waiting on that. I was like, wait, is he waiting to do it? Or what the hell is he doing? Is he having his...
So yeah,
Like response right there. I had to make it a little climactic there.
That is episode number 20 of Too Sweet Converse. Thank you all for watching. Stay tuned for more content to be coming to the page and some ideas. And if you have any ideas that you'd like to see us portray on future episodes, please be sure to do so. Give this video a like if you've enjoyed it, and be sure to subscribe to the Too Sweet Cosplay YouTube channel, and follow us at Too Sweet Cosplay on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And that is it for this week. Thank you all for watching. Too sweet, y'all.
Whammy, whammy, whammy.